Su Xiaoxiao is indeed very rich. His courtyard has a small pond with spirit fish, a rockery, and several tall spirit trees. The gate of the courtyard was closed. Su Xiaoxiao wanted to go back to make up his mind, but he realized that the red interface in his mind had one more section, the mall. Look down, passive value, 64. Su Xiaoxiao immediately became happy. This wave of harvest is very profitable. Isn't it a mall that is unlocked only when passive value breaks through double digits? He clicked in and took a look. The mall was empty, with only a red gift box. Passive gift box. Su Xiaoxiao tried to upgrade his skills with passive value last night, but he couldn't figure it out, and now he discovered that passive value was originally used to buy things. Without thinking, he immediately clicked to buy and opened the gift box. The information column was updated instantly, skill points, plus 10. Passive key, plus 3. At the same time, the mall shook, and a red turntable appeared, which was one size smaller than the black turntable last time, and there was a grey mist above it, making it impossible to see what was inside. Su Xiaoxiao saw this thing unconsciously twitched the corners of his mouth, his eyes dimmed a lot, and he immediately remembered the pointer he had broken last time. Inside the grid of the mall, two grey objects also appeared. Skill points. Passive key. Seeing these two messages, Su Xiaoxiao was shocked. So expensive? So I just used 10 passive value and bought something worth more than 10,000? Let me go. Su Xiaoxiao's eyes widened, realizing that this gift box is just a gift package for novices and the like, the one that doesn't have growth, so it's simply for nothing. Cool. The passive key should be used to open this turntable. Su Xiaoxiao wondered. After the last devastation, this turntable has been upgraded? Don't turn your hands? As for this skill point, there is no need to think about it, it must be used to upgrade passive skills. So, upgrade the method of breathing. Su Xiaoxiao quickly rejected this idea. Let's try the passive key first, maybe you can transfer other passive skills. 3 days later, it will be the winning hegemony of the outer court. For those big guys who intend to compete for the top 100 in the winning list, this is a hegemony. For Su Xiaoxiao, this is an evaluation of elimination. If this red turntable can turn out some more powerful passive skills, maybe I can continue to cultivate in the Tianzang Spirit Palace. If I really want to be driven out, I will have nothing to hide. Su Xiaoxiao inserted the key into the small hole at the bottom of the red turntable. Give me a chance, something that can make me stronger in an instant. As soon as the key was turned, Su Xiaoxiao folded his hands together and began to pray. No exercises, no exercises, I can't help you at the moment. There was a grey mist, and I didn't know what happened inside. Soon, the information column was updated, crab and crab patrons. Su Xiaoxiao's face turned black all of a sudden. What is it? There is something like crab patronage? Can't do something that normal people can play, these wicked things are always out, just like the pointer on the turntable last time. After venting my heart, there are still 2 keys. Su Xiaoxiao inserted another one, and shouted nervously, "Hey! The emperor is possessed." The grey mist turned over, and Su Xiao looked at the information bar expectantly. One more spoonful. Su Xiaoxiao. Hello, what's the point of this? This one comes in and one comes out, nothing, just to play with me? Su Xiaoxiao rolled his eyes to the sky. Do you think you are Coke? One more spoonful? I don't even feel good about hiccups. 2 keys are used, there are 2 more. Su Xiaoxiao couldn't bear this kind of torture anymore. He inserted it first. He didn't even look at the information bar. He guessed that the time was up, and saw the key disappeared, so he inserted it again. No shipment, no shipment. While he reversed the poisonous milk to himself, he secretly aimed at the information bar. Get extended passive skills, strong. Crab and crab patrons. Poisoned milk succeeded? Seeing a line of long characters, Su Xiaoxiao was so excited that he patted his thigh, and finally shipped. But I take a closer look. Strong? Su Xiaoxiao almost didn't spit out a mouthful of blood. What kind of mess is this? Why don't you be a little skinny? It seems wrong. Su Xiaoxiao suddenly thought that the last time the method of breathing was also a deceptive name, and the effect was amazing. Perhaps this strong also has unexpected effects? Hope. Su Xiaoxiao regained his mood, looked at the red interface, and found that it had changed again. 1. Basic passive skills. 2nd, extend passive skills. 3. Mall. Is there an extended passive skill? He glanced at the information bar again, only to find that strong was divided into extended passive skill, and breathing method belonged to 2 major categories. The points are quite fine. Click to open it, and below it is a line of small characters, strong. Could it be a technique to strengthen the physical body? Su Xiaoxiao squeezed his arm. It did not become stronger because of the passive technique. Maybe the level is not enough? Su Xiaoxiao became entangled. He still has 10 skill points, where should I add them? The breathing method is the fundamental mental method, and it is naturally worth adding, but its improvement requires long-term accumulation. The breakthrough yesterday was only because of accumulation. And strong, if it is as he expected, is a passive skill to strengthen the physical body. It is undoubtedly more suitable for upgrading at this moment. If the physical body can be significantly improved, he will be able to compete for a seat in the fighting for hegemony, and at least he will not be eliminated. The 2 benefits are the most important. Su Xiaoxiao finally decides to use his skill points for strength. What if a miracle happens? He uses skill points on the panel, and the information bar is updated in time. Strong. Su Xiaoxiao is always paying attention to his body, not knowing if it is an illusion. He feels as if he is more powerful, but the change is not obvious. He continues to recklessly level his skills. Strong. 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 It was obvious this time that Su Xiaoxiao felt that his muscle lines were slightly raised, and his thin body looked like a normal person at least. There is a play. Su Xiaoxiao was overjoyed. He hit the ground with a punch, and the ground was slightly sunken, making a dull noise. Good fellow, this increase is too obvious. It won't be the acquired level of passive skills, it corresponds to the Spirit Refiner's 10-level spirit refinement, right? Su Xiaoxiao muttered in a daze. The initial training level of a spiritual refiner is 10-level spiritual refinement. After this, it is innate. So the 10-level spirit refining is called the nurture, and there is nothing wrong with it. This is LV.5 the day after tomorrow. With such strength, if a punch hits someone else, it will definitely break a few ribs. And if it is really as he thought, if the realm corresponds, then his skill points are all reckless. Wouldn't the body be able to step into the innate? I'll go. Su Xiaoxiao was fiery in his heart, and his body was born, which is even more difficult than the spiritual cultivation. He originally wanted to divide his skill points evenly, so he decided to put it all on strong. He wanted to see what the effect would be. Strong. Strong. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Strong. The physical strength keeps soaring. Su Xiaoxiao feels like he has been knocked out of medicine, with unlimited energy. At this time, the muscles of the body no longer bulge, but after reaching the so-called strong level of ordinary people, they continue to sculpt a little bit and gradually outline the perfect muscle line. Su Xiaoxiao took off his shirt, and inside was a strong and beautiful body. Boom! A punch, the ground cracked. Is enough to match the power of the 8 realms of spirit refining. Su Xiao was surprised by Tuts. It's too strong, this is too strong. With this punch alone, he may be eligible to compete for the top hundreds of the best ranking, and I will not be eliminated if it is properly done. Su Xiaoxiao's eyes showed a light. he is more than that. There are 3 more skill points: reckless, strong, strong, strong. Seeing the last line of information, Su Xiaoshao's brain buzzed and was blanked by happiness. Xiantian, it turned out to be Xiantian. Every muscle on his body began to squirm violently, and the next moment, the body was discharged with thick black impurities, which was very stench. Su Xiaoshao raised his head and howled, and slapped himself severely. Snapped. Is not a dream. He blasted the ground with a punch, and with a bang, a brick-sized fist pit appeared, and the crack spread along the fist pit like a spider web, with a range of several feet. 5 points. Su Xiao was stunned. It took 5 minutes of effort to hit someone else's head with a punch. Haha, Su Xiaoshao feels that this fighting for hegemony seems to be very interesting. Su Xiaoshao looked at the red interface in his mind. Passive value, 148. Not enough. Although it is a lot more than before, there is obviously a huge gap between the 1000 passive value of purchasing skill points. From the current point of view, any attack, suspicion, ridicule, etc., can make oneself generate passive value, but these are generated when others are in contact with oneself. In other words, if you want to gain more passive points, you can only get into the crowd and do evil things. Su Xiaoshao murmured silently, isn't this driving me in the direction of the clown? It feels like a villain. Sensationalizing, arrogant, and then a person came out, stomped himself severely, and became the protagonist of the heavenly path. Thinking about it, Su Xiao shuddered, this is so passive. When he thinks of passive, he thinks of passive system again, thinking of the black turntable, and suddenly he has a feeling of being arranged by fate. Forget it, think about how to improve your strength in 3 days. Although the physical body has become innate, the cultivation base of the 4 realms, if you really have to meet those fighting madmen of the higher realms, you may not be able to fight. Shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Su Xiaoshao took out the pill bottle given by Elder Qiao, with 3 spirit refining pills lying quietly inside. This spiritual pill is extremely precious, each one is several times more valuable than his 20 spirit crystals. How generous is Elder Qiao's shot? Su Xiaoshao began to think about it. He currently has 2 major mental methods, one is the acquired spiritual mental method that he had cultivated before. This thing is extremely slow to cultivate, even if it is supplemented with spirit crystals, the absorption level is less than 1%, which is a waste of resources. The second is the breathing method, which is a basic passive skill given by the system. Although the level is not up, it may have unexpected effects. Try using Lingjing first. Su Xiaoshao put the pill bottle away, took out a spiritual crystal, and then lost the follow-up. In other words, how are you practicing? This breathing method is a passive technique. He doesn't even know how to operate, how to absorb spirit crystals. Is it difficult? Su Xiaoshao's face is weird, and he has an extremely absurd way of cultivation in his mind. Hey! He exhaled deeply, holding the spirit crystal in his hand, slowly approaching his nostrils, and then taking a big gulp like sucking that thing. Hiss! This was an extremely absurd idea. I never thought that with his slap, Lingjing flew out 2 rich auras, and rushed into Su Xiaoshao's widened nostrils like a green snake. With the wings of his nose closing, Su Xiaoshao only felt that his soul was touched by the saint's gentle touch, and every pore in his body was exploding. A kind of comfort and sublimation, starting from the solace of the feet, coming from the sky. Su Xiaoshao couldn't help groaning. This feeling was so wonderful, it was the first time in 18 years. Soon, he recovered, and couldn't help but shiver. Fug! Is this practicing? Is that the top one? The spirit crystal in his hand was slightly small, and Su Xiao was surprised. It was just a bite. There was such an obvious change. He checked the qi high, and he was shocked. The sea of air is like a whirlpool, and the spiritual power is like a surge. The waves rise above the waves, and there is no sign of instability in the realm. You know, he has just broken through the 4 realms. Under this mouth, his realm has been directly stabilized. Su Xiaoshao is ecstatic. This breathing method is a bit too scary. No need to actively practice, no need to transfer minds, no need to cycle every day, no waste of resources, one refreshing one realm per mouth. You deserve to have. If this is to be upgraded to innate, with sufficient aura supply, it is not a dream to inhale a realm at all. Su Xiaoshao was startled, this is too strong. He couldn't help but pick up the spirit crystal and take another bite. This practice is really a bit of an upper hand, I can't help. There were endless groans in the yard. Fortunately, Su Xiaoshao's room was soundproofed, and fortunately there were no outsiders. Otherwise, there is a single room, moaning endlessly, this is absolutely crooked. A piece of spirit crystal has been sucked for about a dozen times and then completely disappeared in Su Xiaoshao's nostrils. At the same time, his realm has also risen. The absorption rate of the spiritual crystals by the previous mind method was less than 1%. This breathing method was a bit scary, and it was not wasted at all, it was directly absorbed perfectly. Correspondingly, Su Xiaoshao at this time is like a drunk shrimp, lying on the bed crookedly, not like an adult. His body was trembling and trembling, his pupils disappeared, only white eyes, slightly opened lips, and teeth trembling, almost foaming at the mouth. The above-mentioned cultivation method is not only Fei-Ling Jing, but also a little physically demanding. Glug! Su Xiaoshao bumped his teeth back and forth. Help me up, giggle, I can still cultivate and practice. With a chuckle, the pill bottle fell out of his arms. When Su Xiaoshao saw this thing, his body trembled violently. For 3 days, he passed by Su Xiaoshao's more and more practice. The outer courtyard of Tian's Angling Palace, out of Yuntai, is crowded with people. This place was originally called Yunfan. It is rumored that Mr. Sang, the vice president of Tian's Angling Palace, forged Yunfan out of fire and burned half of it to create a Yunfan platform that can accommodate 10,000 people. The Yuntai is recessed at half the peak, surrounded by rows of auditoriums. From a bird's eye view, it is a bowl, quietly standing on the peak. At this time, there were very few people in the audience, because most of the disciples in the outer courtyard were on Izumotai. There is an old man carrying a sword in the void, named Xiao Kixiu, who is the great elder of the Lingfa Pavilion of the Tianzang Ling Palace, in charge of all law enforcement in the inner and outer courts, with great authority. At this moment, he is the chief referee of the wind and cloud contest of the outer court. Xiao Kixiu opened his eyes to the sun, and after confirming the time, the loud voice suppressed all the noise on the Izumotai. Be quiet! Everyone's eyes were hot, and looking straight at him, Xiao Kixiu calmly took out a piece of paper from his arms and said, the number of applicants for this competition is 1,782, corresponding to the numbers of your respective Fenjiun orders. The preliminary round is a group knockout, with 100 people in each group, totaling 18 groups, corresponding to the 18th ring. Xiao Kixiu took out another purple array order, and the Ling Yuan urged it to emit purple light. Below, the gimbal vibrated, and 18 super-large arenas slowly emerged, each of which was covered by a transparent light. The people who were still standing above the Izuyantai were suddenly squeezed aside by the mask. Naturally, these people were the first novices to participate in the wind and cloud contest. Old guys, they hugged their chests and stuck them to the edge of the cloud platform early, looking like they were watching the show. 18 black lights descended from the sky, falling into 18 arenas. Xiao Kixiu said loudly, each ring has a professional referee in charge. When he rescues you, it is when you are judged to have failed. Here, I would like to advise you all, death and injury are inevitable, but I will stop there. Also, when you are in the ring, you must have the consciousness of death. Referees are not gods. There are also times when they are dazed, lost, shocked, and tickled. At this time, they can't save you. Some novices suddenly panicked when they heard this. How could this be a bit different from what they imagined? Referee in a daze? What's the joke? Can you be professional? While the old fritters laughed without saying a word, Elder Xiao's sneer jokes are as always, and it makes people flustered in the hot weather. Everyone who is familiar with knows that the law enforcement elders of Lingfa Pavilion, one by one, are strong and cruel. How could they be in a daze on stage? Still tickling? Is ridiculous. Xiao Qixiu looked at most of the rookies below and started to panic. The corners of his mouth twitched, his expression changed slightly. That's right. Life is always full of accidents. How can it be possible to make you appear in perfect condition every time? He raised his hand, and a melodious ancient bell came from a distance. When it's noon, the fighting for hegemony, start. On the 12th ring, the referee looked at the people outside the mask and said indifferently, the group stage adopts the elimination system. Whoever can persist in the ring until the last minute is the winner. The top 10 of the group will all have prizes, and they can enter the next round of competition. Come on! He waved his arm symbolically, and said coldly, let's call the name and enter the stage. Number 1101, Zhou. A slightly shorter young man shook his body and walked over. Lu Zhen exhorted behind him, take out your token and print it on the barrier. Zhou did so, and the whole person was sucked into the ring. Number 1102, Lu Zhen. Lu Zhen realized that the two had signed up together, with consecutive numbers. Number 1120, Chao Ziaosan. A young man has a bitter face like going to the execution ground. Number 1130, Su Xiaoshao. No one answered. The referee frowned and continued to say, Number 1130, Su Xiaoshao. Still no one answered. Suddenly a little lively inside and outside the field. Didn't Su Xiaoshao leave the customs? Yes, I personally went to collect the corpse that day. I saw him, and he was not dead. You won't oversleep, right? Impossible, I just seemed to have seen him on the road, walking a bit strange. Maybe you read it wrong. The referee was angry and shouted, Number 1130, Su Xiaoshao. Everyone fell silent and looked around, but didn't see Su Xiaoshao. The referee had no choice but to skip him and continue reading the next character. If the time is up and people haven't come, read www.yuyuganshu.com has nothing to do, it can only be treated as a waiver. Who is this Su Xiaoshao? His heart is so big that he dare to be late for Win and Cloud contest. Auditorium is different from other arenas. There are spectators in the audience on the 12th ring, and there are still 3. An enchanting red dress woman leaned back on a chair lazily, showing her curvaceous posture to the fullest, her red lips swirling. Sister Su, this is the little beast brother you asked me to see? Did you wake him up? The girl in white shirt blushed and said, Sister Rao, what are you talking about? Brother Little Beast will definitely come. He must be delayed. This is his last game. I must watch it. The white-clothed girl Su Jianqian is about 14 or 5 years old. In fact, she is a little lowly, but she has a huge sword that is taller than her, and she is lying on her knees. She gently wiped the giant sword on her lap, and there was a memory in her eyes. When I first entered the outer hospital, I was unaccompanied. It was the little beast brother who helped me a lot, and I could only be admitted to the inner hospital in a month. 1 month. Rao Yunyan lowered his head and murmured. Although she also knew that Su Jianqian had no intentions, do you know that your inadvertent remarks hurt even more? Far apart. Elder Chiao squatted on the seat and scratched his head, scolding, Damn Su Xiaoshao, where did he go? Don't let the old man see you off. Anxious to death. In the enchantment. The last time. The referee's voice of death fell, number 1130, Su Xiao Shao. 99 people plus referees on the field, 3 people outside the field eager to see through. Su Xiao Shao, where did he go? Su Xiao Shao is on the road, 8 on one foot, 8 on the other, going through wind and rain. He had already got up an hour earlier and rushed, but after walking for most of the day, he didn't walk over. Damn breathing method. An old man with a straw hat walked by his side with a cane, obviously unhappy, but it was just a gust of wind. After a while, the old man turned his head, as if wondering how the young man was moving slower than the tortoise. From the outer courtyard. Young man, don't you go to participate in the fight for hegemony. Su Xiao was trembling with his teeth, and said, I'm on the road. The old man glanced at his legs and smiled meaningfully, you can't overdo it. Su Xiaoshao's face turned black, and he almost staggered and fell down, so he cursed in his heart, damn spiritual pill. The reason for all this is also due to the terrible combination of breathing method and spiritual refining pill. During these 3 days of preparation time, he forcibly resisted the speed of his body, a strange feeling. He had absorbed 20 spirit crystals, and his cultivation level suddenly jumped to the peak of the 4 realms. After repeatedly confirming that this cultivation method has no side effects, Su Xiaoshao also realized the power of the breathing method. Although it does not absorb quickly, it absorbs more at once. This cultivation is getting higher and higher. At this time, it is only 1 step away from the 5 spiritual realms. How could Su Xiaoshao stop? He strangled his trembling body, thinking that there is still 1 night away from the game. How can he waste it? Time is money, time is life. So he took out the refining pill and thought for a while, fearing that the power of the medicine was not enough to break through, so he emptied his entire lungs and sucked in the pill through his nose. This suck out the big thing. Lingjing is the size of a fist and can't absorb much energy, but the refining pill is like a fingernail. He sucked so hard, the pill shrank by half. What is the concept of half? 99% of the spiritual energy will escape when the spiritual refiner absorbs the spiritual pill on weekdays, and even so, it is enough to increase the cultivation speed several times. And the method of breathing is 100% absorption. So when Su Xiaoshao realized that something was wrong, hundreds of times the pleasure had already struck. Who can stand it? This is no longer a pleasure, this is oral explosives. The back of his feet was sharp, his heart was arrested, Su Xiaoshao fainted on the spot. This mouthful is equivalent to an ordinary person taking dozens of refining pills at the same time, and its medicinal power is evident. In a coma, Su Xiaoshao didn't even talk about breaking through the realm. The cultivation base even went straight to the peak of the 5 realms, almost breaking through the 6th realm. Regained consciousness again, he only felt that his whole person was squeezed dry, his feet were floating, his eyes turned white, his teeth trembled. Seems to be in a coma. Ming Ming, I just sniffed the pill, it. Even when he walks with him, his left foot pushes his right foot and his right foot supports the ground. If one clip is not tight, the duck sits. Su Xiaoshao hurriedly swallowed the remaining half a pill into his abdomen, and refined it with ordinary mental methods, and the situation improved. Although it is a waste, there is no other way at this moment. Being able to compete is the most important thing. When a melodious bell broke the contemplation, Su Xiaoshao said goodbye to the old man, speeding up his pace and heading towards Izumotai. The old man wearing a straw hat looked at him staggering step by step, shaking his head and exclaiming, "You're so young." Out of Yuntai, Ring 12. The last time. Number 1130, Su Xiaoshao. Everyone eagerly looked forward to it, and under the scorching sun, a young man with a sword staggered. "Here, wait." His voice was so weak. The white-clothed girl Su Jianqian in the auditorium pointed with excitement, her big eyes full of excitement, "Brother little beast. It's him. Rao Yunyan was a little curious, but when she saw the boy walking in this posture, she suddenly became dizzy. Sister Su, what did you do to him? What? Su Qian didn't know, so she glanced at Su Xiaoxiao again and saw his walking posture. He immediately burned red with his cheeks. He squeezed his fist and hammered the woman in the red skirt on the chest. Humph, ignore you. In the distance, Elder Chiao was relieved to see Su Xiaoxiao, finally here, this kid. This walking posture, what bad did he do? On the ring. Su Xiaoxiao fisted weakly at the referee, sorry, something has been delayed. After finishing, he tightened his legs. Referee. Your words, this action, it is easy to make people think about it, boy. At the same time, a bell came from the horizon again. When the referee made a big hand, the game begins. As soon as the voice fell, the scene was triggered. Someone took advantage of Su Xiaoxiao's attention from nearby people, and suddenly blasted him out of the ring, instantly attenuating several people. Looking for death. Those who had not succeeded in the sneak attack immediately became furious and ganged up with the sneak attackers. Su Xiaoxiao only entered the ring, close to the edge, and now far away from the battlefield. He was immediately anxious when he saw the number of people decrease. This is the head count. His plan to make a fortune depends on the number of heads. All these are passive values. How can he kill each other? Stop it! A forcibly and breathless scream sounded throughout the audience. It was hard to conceal weakness, but it was such a sound that stopped everyone in the ring from fighting. Everyone was stunned, looking back at Su Xiaoxiao, not knowing why he was frightened. What is this person doing? Could it be that he is a little far away from everyone, and his mood is swollen? A few people will come over to beat Su Xiaoxiao if they touch it. The referee was also dumbfounded. Didn't he expect that this person who was late would actually have innate power? But he looked at the realm, the 5 realms of spiritual refining. Is it dazzled? The 3 people in the audience are also blindfolded. Elder Chiao was anxious, but he didn't see anything, and said to himself irritably, Su Xiaoxiao, what do you want to do? Are you afraid of death? Rao Yunyan looked back at the girl, your little beast brother is very sacrificial. Give up his ego and make others enter the breakout match. So Kyunsi said nothing, clutching the giant sword on his lap tightly, his eyes full of worry. On the ring, after Su Xiaoxiao shouted his voice, his legs trembled, and he quickly covered it with a robe. Looking around, he saw that the highest cultivation base nearby was no more than 8 realms, and he should not be able to break his own strength. I'm very lucky, I didn't meet a big boss, otherwise my big money plan will come to an end. Su Xiaoxiao secretly said. Ahem. He coughed a few times, and saw that everyone was attracted to him, so he inserted the black sword on the ring, leaning on the edge of the barrier, and forcibly calmed down, everyone. I practiced a peerless magical skill, and my body is unmatched. When I leave the customs, I will verify what I have learned. So, don't talk nonsense, pick 100, come on. You guys, I'm surrounded by someone Su. Everyone in the field was drunk and was a little surprised. At this time, they heard Su Xiaoxiao's words and laughed wildly. One pick 100. Woke up in the morning and didn't pee, can't see yourself. Don't think I can't see your feet shaking, your teeth shaking, don't you pick 100, what are you afraid of? Just you soft-footed shrimp? Don't weigh your own weight. Su Xiaoxiao looked down at his feet, not to mention, the term soft-footed shrimp is really appropriate. His wave of hatred was almost full, and a series of clamors were unbearable, and even the referee was eager to try. But it is obvious that he is a cold referee, forcibly suppressing his fighting spirit. Be taunted, passive value, plus 42. Be taunted, passive value, plus 21. The information bar in his mind refreshed, and Su Xiaoxiao raised his eyebrows. Sure enough, Su Xiaoshao's battlefield was where there were many people. Good mockery. Please whipped me up. Su Xiaoshao was brazen, he seemed to see the scene of everyone rushing up to besiege him, he pointed to the black sword weapon on one side and said, "This is the 9th grade spirit sword, if anyone defeats me." "Hey, why are you fighting over there? Listen to me. Hey! Here, look at me." Halfway through his words, everyone just thought he was nervous, but they didn't even pay attention to him. They were fighting again. Su Xiao was angry, and slapped a few guys he touched to the ground. "Stop it!" There was a roar, and the faint innate coercion was over it again. Everyone felt a chill. What was going on? Stopped inexplicably. Turned his head again. "Good fellow, how come there are several people kneeling in front of Su Xiaoshao with their faces covered? 5, 6, 7. What kind of situation, why did you kneel?" Everything happened so quickly, even the person who was slapped was stunned. "Didn't I come here to beat him? Why did he kneel down when his face hurt?" This time I saw the three people in the audience most clearly. Rao Yunyan's beautiful eyes were surprised, and said in surprise, "This Su Xiaoshao is very strong in his physical body. He has only 5 levels of cultivation, and he has such speed and strength." Su Qianqian nodded repeatedly, "That is." The referee was also dumbfounded. He just turned his head and didn't pay attention. Why did the first weather appear again? Who on earth did it? As far as the line of sight, there is no innate master. As a referee, he felt that he had to stop Su Xiaoshao's interruption of the game, so he said coldly, "This player, please don't interfere with the game, otherwise I will take action and ask you to leave." Su Xiaoshao counterattacked, "Why do I interfere with the game? I'm also on the court, okay? I'm a player." The referee was speechless for a while. "What you said makes sense. But the game needs to continue." The referee retorted. "Su Xiao accepts the wood, isn't the game going on?" He turned his head and looked at everyone, his eyes were extremely sincere, "I just want to say. If anyone can break through my defenses with my hands, I will give him the 9th grade spirit sword." He drew up the black sword, mobilized his spiritual power, the black sword's aura flowed, and the sword spirit was wanton. "I don't believe that you guys are not moved. Under suspicion, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com passive value, +86. Su Xiaoshao. How come no one believes it?" He looked at the referee and threw the sword directly to him. "You come to testify. Referee? Did I promise you, you will throw the sword to me?" Su Xiaoshao robbed the referee before the referee said, "The referee's duty is to try not to let the players suffer casualties. I didn't say that I am not allowed to be on the stage like this." The referee was speechless for a while. "Not bad. I agree with Su Xiaoshao." Someone suddenly uttered a voice in the crowd. He was a tall man with a cultivation base of 7 realms, and his mighty power was overwhelming, but his gaze was tightly caught by the black sword. "I agree." Recognition. The style of painting suddenly changed, and dozens of people stared at the 9th rank spirit sword, and they almost drooled. The tall man who spoke first looked at Su Xiaoshao, "Are you serious?" "True, more real than real gold." Su Xiaoshao immediately said loudly when someone agreed with him. This group of people really don't turn around without seeing interest, they all have a virtue. The 3 people in the audience were also confused by Su Xiaoshao's show operation. They each looked at the other arenas, and they were fighting in full swing, endlessly. And the 12th ring, an auction scene alive. The host Su Xiao was perplexed by the enchanting words, and the referee was holding a spirit sword, and a group of hungry wolves glowed with green eyes. Rao Yunyanyu covered his forehead with his hand, and sighed silently, "What a strange thing is this? Brother Little Beast is amazing." Su Qianqian clenched a fist. Elder Qiao was dumbfounded, he picked up the chin that fell on the ground. "What the is this stinky kid doing?" The referee looked melancholy at the sky. It was the first time he encountered such a difficult player. You have to stop him, he is also a player, he is a bit crazy if he wants to pick 100 at most, it seems that there is no irregularity, but why don't you stop him? How does it look like a farce, a dignified group stage, turned into a large-scale gambling scene? How to say? Faced with Su Xiaoshao's question and the look that a group of people expected, the referee was a little dizzy. He was holding the black sword in his hand and didn't know what to do for a while. Above the void, the referee Xiao Qixiu finally noticed the situation in the 12th ring. It's okay if you don't pay attention. Others are fighting, and this ring is quietly like a class. Talking alone, a group of people listening. Xiao Qixiu twitched the corner of his mouth, and the sound transmission said, "Very well, young and frivolous. Agree with him and let him suffer." The referee has the backbone and immediately waved his hand, "Agree, the game continues." The tall man's eyes lit up in an instant, and he shot out a greedy light, flying out in front of the crowd for the first time. "I have a style of 100-step Beast King Fist, your sword, I want it." Some people in the rear crowd were still hesitating, but they were immediately upset when they saw that they were taken advantage of. Sure enough, the opportunity is always left to the first person who eats crabs. It is a pity that such a good sword is dusted in Su Xiaoshao's hand as a gambling product, and then it will fall into the hands of a boxer. "Senior brother Lu, don't you try? Your dark tribulation fist." Zhou Zou's eyes moved slightly, but he knew how many caddies he was, so he didn't dare to do it. Lu Zhen hid in the crowd and shook his head slightly, "Although I also broke through, but Su Xiaoshao seems to have become unusual, let's take a look." Looking at the familiar scene in front of him, he remembered Su Xiaoshao's posture when he first left the customs that day. The situation was overwhelming the audience, closing a deadlock. Really such a big breakthrough? Suspected, passive value, +12. Su Xiaoshao didn't know what other people were thinking about. He watched the tall man lift his fist and laughed, full of pride. "Haha, come on." As soon as the voice fell, a tiger roar phantom slammed their heads, shocking everyone's heart. When they reacted, they saw that under the phantom, there was a punch that was as many as the sky in a second. Boom boom boom. Su Xiaoshao did not use a single boxing technique. He banged his fists naked, and wanted to take the pinnacle skill of the day after tomorrow, 100-step Beast King Fist. The crowd of onlookers exploded. Empty punch. He's crazy. Where is Su Xiaoshao's self-confidence? He wants to take Kaihui's 100-step Beast King with his empty fists. Isn't Su Xiaoshao only one style of White Cloud Sword technique? I heard that he only practiced the first style for 3 years. Everyone saw 4 fists cross, and hundreds of roars broke out instantly, deafening. The next moment, everyone saw Su Xiaoshao, who was wrapped in the shadow of the boxing, attacking randomly, punching in the air, while the shadow of the tall man's boxing, dozens of breaths, banged on Su Xiaoshao's face. "Fuck, so cruel, I can't stand it anymore. This Su Xiaoshao is here to be funny, isn't he really good at one punch?" Even the referee was shocked, this man. At first I thought he was here to be funny, but later I thought he was a strong one. Now it seems that he is here to be funny. Su Xiaoshao received the shadow of his fist from his face, and was beaten so that he couldn't find his direction. He looked shaky, but he just didn't take a step back. "This can't move," he got out of the ring as soon as he backed up. As people say, Su Xiaoshao does not know how to fist, and he has never heard of the so-called 100-step Beast King Fist. But, did this affect my fight? I am strong, I am wayward. The shadow of the fist falling on his face can only give a slight pain, and even a little bit of the strange feeling left on his body last night, but it has never hurt him. As the shadow of the boxing continued to fall, the information column in my mind was constantly updated. Under attack, passive value, +34. Under attack, passive value, plus 46. Under attack, passive value, plus 32. Under attack, passive value, plus 42. Su Xiao's howl went crazy, watching the information bar frantically refreshing as he accepted the move. He said that he loved this kind of boxing method with one breath. As he expected, the inherent strong defense cannot be defeated by these guys who can only acquire fist. Even if the opponent's cultivation is as high as 7 levels. Are you tickling me? Su Xiao grabbed the gap and squirted quickly, and in the next second he got countless fists in his mouth. The tall man Chu Wei became more and more frightened as he fought, and he felt tired. How could this guy seem to have nothing? Death to me! Hearing this, he roared, and suddenly his whole body was red and white smoke appeared, and his fist speed doubled again. Blood-burning technique. Crazy, Kai Wei is crazy. Everyone looked fascinated, with enthusiasm. Chu Wei's fist speed at this time was enough to shake the 9 realms of spiritual refining. Under attack, passive value, plus 94. Under attack, passive value, plus 88. Under attack, passive value, plus 102. Su Xiao's howl is crazy, completely crazy. The passive value in my mind keeps rising, 500, 700, 900, 1000. He screamed while being beaten, constantly stimulating Chu Wei, good come. Hurry up. Yes, at this speed, continue. Fresh, hey. Fist shadow sealed his throat. Everyone. Referee. The auditorium was far away, I couldn't hear the two people fighting each other, but I was shocked to see the tragic situation. Your little beast brother is afraid that he will become a pig's head. Rao Yunyan laughed. She looked at Su Jianqian, little Lolita was staring at Chu Wei, with murderous in her eyes. Rao Yunyan. The crowd's onlookers saw their blood surge, and they only wished that they could not take their place, and beat this crazy guy so hard that they had to punch the nearby people with one fist, and then the battle started again. Everyone is young and full of blood. After waiting for a long time, they are naturally impatient, not to mention that Su Xiao's screams are constantly stimulating bloody. Some people pulled up the battlefield on one side, while others chose to wait. On the edge of the ring, the battle between the two was actually not long ago. It was mainly 100 times in an instant, which was thrilling. A weak voice suddenly sounded among the crowd watching, look, Su Xiao's feet, don't seem to have moved. Everyone immediately stared at his feet. Sure enough, under the high-speed boxing, this guy trembled as if there was no rootless duckweed. Seems to have an unstable center of gravity, but in fact it doesn't move. This. How can it be? Is it true that Su Xiao has cultivated a masterly skill? A 7-level powerhouse who was previously kneeled by Su Xiao's fan covered his face and said aggrieved, I said he is very powerful, you don't believe it. Hey? Did you speak? 7 realms powerful. He is a dignified 7-level master, and he has no sense of existence in the group stage. The Su Xiao. Su Xiao accidentally moved to the front of the battlefield and opened a few places in the gap between the shadows of his fists. His passive value was divided a lot, and he was suddenly anxious. What anxious, can't you wait for a while? He felt that he could not hang himself on a tree with a crooked neck. Kai Wei was out putting frantically, and suddenly saw Su Xiao, who seemed to fall in the next second, stood upright, calmly speaking in the shadow of the violent fist, you are tired and need to rest. At the next breath, an ordinary punch floated. Boom! Void blasted, Chu Wei flew out in an instant and plunged into the crowd. Let's take a break, let's wait and fight again, wait for me. Su Xiao shouted at him. This is a value add-on, extremely easy to use, don't lose it. Kai Wei is stupid. What's the situation? I was out putting for a long time, and I was half tired. Not only did you have nothing, but also let me rest? Others saw Chu Wei being knocked back with a fluttering punch, and immediately retreated. Now everyone knows that this guy pretends to be a pig and eats a tiger. He is a terrifying boss. My god, is he really only 5 realms? This physical body is even more terrifying than the 8 or 9 realms. What kind of spiritual skill is this? Why haven't I heard of it? Su Xiaoshao smiled faintly. It's not a spiritual skill, it's an innate strong. Everyone. I believe in you, a ghost. Can you be inherently strong to this point? Suspected, passive value, plus 32. Alas, why no one believes me every time I tell the truth? Su Xiaoshao tantans his hands, expressing helplessness. I'm telling the truth, if you don't believe me, it's none of my business. Over there, don't fight. He looked over the crowd and looked at the battlefields behind him. Your opponent is me. I will fight you. A man with a hook-nosed nose flew out, calling Ye Chongting, the cultivation base of 8 realms. He yelled, I have a style of Japanese sacrifice boxing, can you dare to take it? Not waiting for Su Xiaoshao's answer, he had already thrown the blazing fire with a punch, and hit his head with heavy smoke. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com Sacrifice Japanese Fist? Su Xiaoshao knows that this style of boxing requires a long time to accumulate energy and pays attention to one move to control the enemy. He turned sideways, avoiding the frontal impact, and slashed at the opponent's wrist with a hand knife, grabbed his neck with the pain, and threw him directly outside the barrier. Ye Chongting? You have changed. When you were fighting with Chu Wei just now, it was obviously not like this. He almost cried out. 8 levels of cultivation, that was the strong strength of the competition group, and one was accidentally sent out of the ring by the opponent. Didn't you say that it's hard to connect, big liar? Su Xiaoshao clapped his hands, and said faintly, sorry, I am more interested in the boxing style of hundreds of punches at one breath. Like the Yuri boxing, don't come, go and fight elsewhere. After speaking, he glanced at the information bar and shook his whole body. Passive value, 1766. In other words, just Kaihui alone has contributed thousands of passive points to him. With the prior warning, how could he waste time on these punches with only one shot? Everyone looked at Ye Chongting in the audience, feeling that they had changed from hunter status to prey. Stop it! Su Xiaoshao yelled again, and everyone stopped inexplicably. The fiery ring was suddenly silent. The referee held a few losers in his hands, and was interrupted in the middle of his work. The anger in his heart, cyclonus. He kept telling himself that he can't be impulsive, and this person is also a player. Su Xiaoshao's eyes were all over the place, and he lifted up the anger one by one again, and suddenly flicked his sleeves, held the trembling legs that had been healed, and took a step. Time is limited, let's go together. Above the void, Xiao Kixiu, who was always paying attention to the 12th ring, smiled slightly. The quality of the disciples in the outer courtyard this year is a bit high. This is the 3rd innate he has discovered. Is still a physical innate that is extremely difficult to detect, it is not too rare. If it weren't for the faint innate power that appeared twice in a row, he would be fooled by this young man named Su Xiaoshao. This kid really has, well, a wonderful talent. On the field, a group of people was irrational by Su Xiaoshao's words. A 5-level spirit refining realm, even if you say crazy words, even if your physical body is incomparably powerful, is it possible that you still have a physical innate? I can't take it anymore, this guy is too old. It seems that one person can't satisfy him. In that case, everyone will work together to put this soft-footed shrimp off the ring. Brothers, let's go together. 40 or 50 people rushed over at the same time, some with their fists, some with knives, and some hiding in hiding, preparing for black hands and making insidious tricks. Su Xiaoshao looked at the murderous aura, his liver trembled, and the hot 40 or 50 black faces were a bit scary. But he still rushed up stiffly, roaring boldly, "If a man uses his fist, he raises the knife. If there is something, you can put it down." Bang bang! The scene exploded in an instant, and Su Xiaoxiao was suddenly swept away by the waves. Seeing Su Jianqian in the auditorium was nervous, her delicate hands clasped Rao Yunyan's legs tightly. That was not a long red skirt. "You have the courage." Rao Yunyan smiled as he watched the beating scene. Under attack, passive value, plus 14. Under attack, passive value, plus 16. The information bar refreshed once again. As soon as Su Xiaoxia rushed into the crowd, he held countless fists with his body, knocked the knife down with one punch, and kicked out of the ring. "Don't use knives, don't use swords, don't use daggers. Damn, there is another one with a silver needle? Clear the field. With my ring, we can only fight to death with our fists. I can get 1,000 punches, but if it is cut by a spirit weapon, even if it is an inferior spirit weapon, the innate body will bleed. So you are destined to leave." Su Xiaoxiao cleared the field, while pulling the battlefield away, while adjusting different postures so that he could receive more fists at the same time. The surface area of a person is very limited. Even if 40 or 50 people rush over, no more than 10 people can hit you at the same time. But Su Xiaoxiao was different. As soon as his fist fell, he flopped, shuttled, and stayed in the air, doing everything possible to make everyone take care of himself. The only thing that needs attention is to protect your important parts from being injured. Attacked, passive value, plus 11. Under attack, passive value, plus 22. Attacked, passive value, plus 33. In my mind, the single passive value of the information bar keeps increasing, starting from more than 10, and slowly rising to more than 20, more than 30. Su Xiaoxiao's skills became more and more sophisticated, and at this time, the attackers became more and more excited. Obviously, he couldn't see the crazy kid, but I didn't know why, and he hit the kid with a punch, always hitting the kid's stinky face. This feeling of punching to the flesh, so cool. Really cool. So I was so amazing? Some people slapped and even closed their eyes, feeling like they are in an epiphany, and they are very close to the road at this moment. This is innate feeling. Mom, I broke through. The referee was dumbfounded. What a cruel picture this is. He saw that the boy who had just spoken badly, the face that was still handsome, was deformed under the heavy punches of the besiegers. The sunken abdomen, the bent forearms, and the straight toes are all experiencing terrible devastation every moment. Yes, Su Xiaoxiao's shoes have been knocked off, so that the toes can be extended to increase the surface area of the body. The referee was dumbfounded. Are these guys taking drugs? How come they suddenly become so fierce? Look at that guy from the Three Realms, what is he doing? He closed his eyes? I go. Didn't that punch hit the air? How could it be such a coincidence that it hit Su Xiaoxiao's shoulder? There is also the twirled. Okay? How did he persist so far that he hasn't made it out? My God! Almost went out, but was hooked back by Su Xiaoxiao's mistake. How can it be? The referee broke down. Su Xiaoxiao's beating is getting more and more wrong. How come there are fewer people? He clearly tried his best to save it, but the number has gradually dropped from more than 60 to more than 40. Suddenly, he saw a few figures hidden in the depths, and focused on those who closed their eyes and enlightened the Tao. As long as they closed their eyes, they would surely be picked out. Damn it, cut my passive value. Su Xiaoxiao secretly adjusted his posture, slowly approached these malignant tumors, and knocked them off one by one. These righteous ring players, under Su Xiaoxiao's deformed fighting style, were the first to be unable to hold on. One by one they got out of the ring and they were fascinated. They didn't even know how they got out. In the audience, the girl Su Jianqian had already covered her eyes and dared not look at it. Even Rao Yunyan felt that the scene was a bit too much. I saw that the battle was no longer as a ball as it was at the beginning, but gradually opened up to form a big net. The attacker on each grid point doesn't even need to move, just shoot Su Xiaoxiao into the air and wait until someone else sends him over. And the poor Su Xiaoxiao, the whole figure is like a sandbag, tossing about in the attack net, and he is attacked on his back. The referee thought that he needed to take a shot. Although he also felt that Su Xiaoxiao owed him a lot and wanted to make 2 punches, he was a cold referee and he wanted to calmly enforce the law. Just as he was about to stop, he suddenly saw the expression of sandbag Su Xiaoxiao. What a distorted expression is this! Grinned with a grin, revealing the enjoyment, the blue nose and the swollen face appeared refreshed, the brows were flying, and they were fluttering. Is almost. Doesn't seem to be being attacked, it seems to be receiving a massage service. He listened carefully and found that this sandbag was constantly grinning under the shadow of the fist. Fresh. Is there a kind of stronger power? Hurry up, it's better to play 1,000 times per second. Damn, I can't play here. Referee. In silence, he put down his hand to stop violence and decided not to speak anymore. Maybe, he doesn't need me. When an ancient bell rang again from the horizon, clearing people's hearts, and Xiao Qixiu's words followed, before the end of the group stage, there is still time to stick an incense. He said this to the 12th ring, this rule is provisional. Because the battle of the other 17 arenas has already ended. The other ring styles are very simple. Following the old method, they are all giants meditating, and the giants clear the court. There are a dozen people who are not convinced, and the duel is over. Only the number 12 ring, the scene was spectacular and tragic. The people who got off the other ring at this time, according to their original intention, were going back to have a good rest, but now the audience seat on the 12th ring is actually full. They opened their eyes one by one, witnessing this desolate scene. What's the situation? Are these people crazy on the 12th ring? It doesn't treat people as human beings, this style of play is too beastly. That's right, even if you fight around, it's so exaggerated, at least save some face, don't slap your face. In the same spiritual palace, I don't even look up and see you down, Tusk. The weak are always easy to arouse the sympathy of the bystanders. Some female disciples can't pass it. While crying with pears and rain, they support Su Xiaoshen. Damn, it's not like you, Su Xiaoxiao, come on. Su Xiaoxiao, hold on. Su Xiaoxiao, you are the fattest. The sound of support, like a sparkling prairie fire, instantly resounded through the audience. Unidentified foreign audience members, one by one, cheered on Su Xiaoxiao, while glaring at the people who had just been beaten from the 12th ring. These volunteer people are called grievances. Have you seen the truth of the matter, dare you to speak, and try it for you? In the field. Su's group heard that there was still time for a stick of incense. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com suddenly stopped pretending. He had already led everyone to the edge of the ring while playing. This group of people was completely restrained by him, despite the appearance of crazy output. Is like Tai Chi gossip, once the momentum takes shape, even the attacker can't stop himself. Su Xiaoxiao leaped forward and pulled away from the ring. Everyone flew into the fire like moths, watching his body jump out of the ring with shocked faces. For a moment, the scene was silent. Oh my God! What's happening? The people in the auditorium exploded. The number 12 ring is poisonous. If you want to hit it in the dark, if you want to jump, you jump, and I jump. Is this scared by the voice of support, so ashamed to be too ashamed? On the ring. Under a wave of manipulation by Su Xiaoxiao, excluding the referee, there are only 4 people left. He forcibly pulled back the tall man who attacked him first. He seems to be called Kai Wei. There is still half a stick of incense, I think about it, you have the strongest output, let's do another one. Su Xiaoxiao said sincerely. This guy's 100-step Beast King fist can be worth 50 elite soldiers. Kaiowei's face turned pale when he heard the words, and he looked around, showing no close friends. An unspeakable fatigue came to his mind, he retched and jumped off the ring. Su Xiao. The referee couldn't stand it anymore and waved his hand in due course, the game is over. Sighed. Lu Zhen took a deep breath, staring at this murderous and contemptuous Su Xiao, and said slightly relaxed, I said wait and see, that's right, the top 10. Zhou Zhou swallowed, leaving nothing but shock. Brother Lu, it's the top 3. Su Xiao won. Su Xiao won. The battle is over and the barrier falls. Su Xiao was shocked by the high sound waves of solidarity in the audience. He turned his head to see, good fellow, when are so many people here? I'm afraid that all the disciples from the outer courtyard of Izumotai are here. Many juniors and sisters burst into tears, and Su Xiao didn't know what they were crying. Suspected, passive value, plus 324. Admired, passive value, plus 1125. Su Xiao swept across the information bar slightly, almost kneeling in fright. What's the situation? There was a wave of suspicion in front of him, he could understand, after all, Su Xiao was cultivated in the 5 realms and won the group championship, naturally, he was unavoidable. Although Lu Zhen and Zhou Zhou are also on stage, everyone with a discerning eye knows that they are 2 rowers, so of course he is the champion. But the latter admiration. This is a bit mysterious. This seems to be the first time I have appeared? Then. 1000 passive value? Su Xiao is stupid. This guy who just wanted to get a few more beatings and earn a few more passive points, obviously did not realize that he had become the indomitable, self-improving man in the eyes of everyone, and eventually killed himself with blood and honored the man who eats chicken. After all, in the eyes of latecomers, he was beaten and kicked alive by a human being. Those people are so brutal, how can they put such a heavy hand? Look at Su Xiao's face, one piece is blue and one piece is purple. Okay? Why is the injury so light? The referee came over with a blank expression on his plate. Congratulations, Su Xiao. There is a prize on the plate, the prize is a ring, nothing else. Su Xiao raised eyebrows, space ring? This is a good thing. He sells his yard with a black sword and can't buy it. He picked up the ring, pointed at the referee's shaking hand, and said heartily, thank you, but don't be excited for me. When the referee heard the words, the hand holding the plate shook more severely. Am I excited? This is my anger suppressed by the plate. After the entire battle, apart from stealing a few heads, he basically had no sense of involvement, which made him very desperate. I was thinking about fulfilling my duties, but I was forced to have a vegetarian meal and nothing was done. This Su Xiao completely deceived him. It was not until the end of the battle that he realized that this was actually a physical innate. I just said where did the previous 2 innate powers come from, I didn't expect it to be him. The referee pressed his heart down and waved his arm indifferently, come on. Turned around and left. Su Xiao secretly said strangely, but he also replied with a cheering gesture, and said to his back, I will work hard. The referee shook his hand and the plate almost flew out. Hey, my sword! Su Xiao shouted from behind. The referee swooped, caught the plate, and threw the sword on his back without looking back. Su Xiao frowned and stared at his back, and couldn't help muttering, weird. Su Xiao! Su Xiao! The people in the audience shouted. At first, it was the girls yelling. The people next to them were embarrassed and forced to scream. Su Xiao was very embarrassed. He didn't know what these people were going crazy, but when they called his name, he was still very excited, so he waved his hand to everyone. Sit down, you are welcome. Rao Yunyan stood up, stretched his waist, and pulled the red skirt that was buttoned by the little lowly to the base of his thighs, and joked, "You can go to find your little beast brother." Su Jian smiled, with two dimples on his face, "No, it's best if brother Xiaozhu hasn't left the spiritual palace. Look at how excited the girl next to you is, what if your little beast brother is robbed?" "What are you talking about?" Su Jian blushed, "I don't have that kind of thought." "Oh, is it so? Ignore you." Su Jian jumped off the chair, her head just hit Rao Yunyan's chest, and her cheeks were flying shuangxia again. She lowered her head, picked up the big sword, and ran away. "Hey, it's so cute." Su Xiaoxiao naturally noticed the two of them. To be honest, there are not many pre-existing breaths in the field, and his congenital physical body is not obvious, which does not mean that others' pre-existing breaths are not obvious. At least that kind of dusty temperament is different from those girls who are heartbroken calling his name. Su Jian. It's been a long time. He was staring at the direction where the little girl was running, and the woman in the red dress who had never wanted to walk behind suddenly looked back and blinked. Seduce, passive value, +1. Su Xiaoxiao was still flustered in the last second, and almost spurted blood when he saw this information in the next second. Damn, some things just don't tell you, why poke them out? Dog system. People go to the building empty. Everyone is a spiritual refiner, even a fan of 1 second will not do anything out of the ordinary. Well, at least on the bright side. As soon as Su Xiaoxiao wanted to take a step away, he saw Elder Qiao appear in front of him. "Well, you kid, you can come back after being beaten like this, but you have." "Elder Zhou." Elder Qiao's face turned dark, "You didn't even notice me. If you dare to love me, did you go to see those two girls?" "Hey!" Su Xiaoxiao said as he walked, "What's the matter, did you come in the first time?" "That is." Su Xiao was falsely alarmed, but fortunately he was right, and promptly transformed the interrogative tone into a sigh, but was not seen through. "When did the cultivated innate physical body hide it from me?" Elder Qiao asked. "Okay? Still dare to ask me?" Su's group suddenly refused to accept it. "Didn't I tell you last time that I was born? You don't believe it." "Last time?" Elder Qiao suddenly remembered the scene where the two of Lingxi Pavilion met, and smiled awkwardly. "At that time, the ghosts believed you." Seeing that Su Xiaoxiao was about to have an attack, he quickly took out a bottle of pill and stuffed him in his arms. "I'm hurt." "No, here you are, go back and take care of your injuries, let's see you later." After that, she ran off. Su Xiaoxiao. "As for? Don't just spit out, I won't eat you again." He looked at the pill given by Elder Qiao in his hand, his heart warmed. "Okay? Elder Zhou, pill." Su Xiaoxiao suddenly shivered. Su Xiaoxiao returned to the room. After washing, he lay down on the soft bed that had been cleaned, and felt relieved. Row is expected, but he really won the group championship and won the first great achievement in the past 3 years. It is still like a dream. Can only say that the innate level is strong. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com is terrifying. Under such an attack, he couldn't last a long time before changing to do it, but now, he just has more skin injuries, muscles and bones. Doesn't it exist? These bruises and swollen faces can be healed with a wave of practice. The pill given by Elder Qiao, he thought about it, but didn't dare to use it again. Took out the championship ring. After Su Xiaoxiao confessed to the master, he saw a space about half the size of a house, and liked it very much. There are not many things in, the value is all in the ring itself, only 100 lingjing, a bottle of medicine. Su Xiaoxiao took out the pill and took a look. Spiritual pill. Stunned, he hurriedly put things away, and incidentally stored some of his own sundries in. This feeling of having a small space with you is really wonderful. He doesn't have the habit of wearing a ring, and string the ring together as a necklace. This is the first champion in his miserable life. It is very commemorative and must be collected. He lay on the bed and changed his posture to make himself more comfortable. Then, here comes the highlight. How much passive value will be gained in this crazy and pitiful battle? In addition to taking a few glances in the early stage, he has already held back a whole battle and tried his best to ignore the row of numbers below, just to wait for this moment. Su Xiaoshao's heart was beating wildly. He looked into the red interface in his mind, at the very bottom of the information bar. A kind of happiness crit exploded in his brain. Su Xiaoshao only felt his brain buzz and it was blank. He cramped his fingers, unconsciously counting, 1, 2, 3, 5 or 5 digits. Passive value, 17,660. Su Xiaoshao bounced off the bed like a spring. 17,000. He confirmed it again, it was really 17,000. Sent it. Not counting the guys who don't hurt, a punch is a bit of passive value, 17,000, that is to say, I have nearly tens of thousands of punches. Su Xiaoshao patted his head, what a miserable experience this is. As a traverser, in order to make money, he sacrificed his body. Shame. But, look back at these 5 digits. Really fragrant. Calm down. Su Xiaoshao sat back on the bed again, and forcibly pressed his excitement and shaking hands. Everything is just the beginning, it is still unknown what can be drawn next. This kind of intense and exciting feeling is his favorite. When Su Xiaoshao opened them all, the items on the first 2 product compartments had been lit up, which was a symbol of abundant funds. Hey! New stuff! He found an extra grey item on the 3rd grid. When did it appear? Su Xiao was curious, click to open and see, level 2 skill points. 5,000? Su Xiaoshao's eyes were all round at the moment, and the prefix second order was only seen in the next second. At present, in his own passive skills, only the innate level of strong can correspond to the term second order. In other words, is this tier 2 skill point used to upgrade strong? I have used the innate level passive skills, and the common skill points have expired. Should I use the second level skill points to upgrade? Su Xiaoshao expressed his understanding, but why is this thing grey and cannot be purchased? Your own passive value is enough. 17,000 versus 5,000, I can also buy 3 second level skill points. Fighting life and killing, unexpectedly can only buy 3 second order skill points. Su Xiaoshao thought this way, suddenly felt a little wronged. This newly appearing second order skill point made him fall into contemplation. Perhaps, the passive system is related to the realm of one's own cultivation level. Only when one's spiritual training breaks through the 10 realms and enters the innate, can you purchase the second order skill points. Su Xiaoshao felt that this reasoning should be established. If there is no such restriction, he will directly use strong and set the skill level above the innate. It is not a dream to be canonized. But is this possible? According to the bucket theory, one's own shortcoming can no longer hold much water. If oneself has only one longboard, then everything is even more nonsense. A little white rabbit whose flesh is as strong as a lion must have been able to beat a lion? Well, although it is not impossible, in most cases, it should not happen. Perhaps when he saw the lion, it subconsciously turned around and ran away. However, because of physical limitations that are incompatible with itself, it trips over itself and sends it into the opponent's blood basin. It makes sense. Su Xiaoshao didn't have too much entanglement. He didn't intend to continue to upgrade to strong. At present, the innate physical body is enough. Besides, since Japan will be long, he doesn't want to be successful only by being strong, he has to explore other directions. Passive value of 17,000, it's time to experience the joy of 10 consecutive draws. Hey! Su Xiaoshao rubbed his hands and bought 10 passive keys without hesitation. Passive value, 7,660. Suddenly shrank by 10,000, Su Xiaoxiao felt distressed, but when he thought of new skills, he still talked with comfort. There are more than 7,000 passive points left. If you draw any good skills later, you can also directly click on LV.8. The last 3, 4 consecutive draws yielded strong, which shows that the probability of shipment of this carousel is actually not low. Su Xiaoxiao imitated the last time, inserting 10 keys into the red turntable covered with grey fog in turn, not daring to look at the information bar anymore. The keys went in and disappeared. The room was so quiet that only the bang heartbeat could be heard. Drink. Yuhuang possession. As the last passive key disappeared, Su Xiaoxiao shouted, drew a Tai Chi gossip in the air with both hands, and glanced at the information bar. Crab and crab patrons. 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 Puff. Su Xiaoxiao spouted a mouthful of old blood, and fell to the ground. The 5 consecutive waves of peerless information in the information column sent him back to the blood pool at once. I'm special. He swallowed the small heart that had jumped into his throat and swallowed it back into his chest, and continued to look down desperately. Crab and crab patrons. Crab and crab patrons. One more spoonful. Get extended passive skill, sharp. Crab and crab patrons. With a bang, the bedboard almost cracked when Su Xiao received a critical blow. 1. There is 1. Su Xiao was excited by that. He didn't expect double yolk eggs anymore. He was afraid his little heart could not hold it. He was even more afraid of this crab patronage, so he suddenly came to a Super 10 company and sent him directly to the rooftop to experience the pain of the cold wind. Sharp? Su Xiaoxiao carefully pondered this vocabulary. What effect would it have? With the 2 lessons of the last breathing method and the last strength, he already knows that what the passive system extracts is definitely not expecting any tall names. On the contrary, the products here, although their names are simple and unpretentious, but each one is extremely practical and closely related to his name. This sharp. What will look like? Since it is still an extended passive skill, it should still be applied to oneself, rather than making the hidden suffering in one's hand sharper. But where is my body sharp? Teeth? Hair? Toes? Su Xiaoxiao looks weird. How does this come in handy? Could it really be a tasteless one? He lifted his fingers and carefully observed his nails, as if is a bit longer? Is it because of subjective psychological effects? Su Xiaoxiao stretched out his fingers and poked hard at the ground. Hiss! The next second, he grinned in pain, and flicked his fingers. 4 holes were punched in the ground, plus a small groove. This is not sharp. This is strong, the effect brought by the innate body. Su Xiaoxiao fell into deep thought. He finally realized a terrible problem. Passive skills might overlap in functions. The thought made him almost cry. Heavenly kill system, it cost me 10,000 passive points. No, no. The system can't be so bad. Su Xiao was comforted by herself. If you read www.yuyuganshu.com really think so, wouldn't it be possible for me to get strong, sharp? He forcibly eliminated this nightmare-level thought from his mind. Can't be like this. Never possible. In that case, there is only one last possibility. Su Xiaoxiao looked at the second section, extend passive skills, strong. Sharp. LV.1 The day after tomorrow, the level is too low. Su Xiaoxiao said flatly to himself. It was the same last time. When Strong first appeared, he was almost spurned by him because of his low level. Later, he upgraded to the innate level and exploded with terrible power. Even, Su Xiaoxiao, who was originally in the 5 realms of spiritual refining, was directly promoted to the altar of the group stage champion. Perhaps, this sharp effect can only be sharpened when the level is increased. Su Xiaoxiao looked at the passive value, 7660. Continue to draw cards? Still want to use skills? Hey, don't I still have a key? Su's team suddenly remembered that there was one more spoonful in the 10 consecutive draws, and suddenly laughed, let's get rid of this first. He inserted the passive key into the red turntable and twisted it hard. Seeing that the key turns into stars and disappears little by little, Su Xiaoxiao doesn't care much, and thinks about the usage of sharp in his mind. The key is completely annihilated. Before Su Xiaoxiao looked at the information bar, his eyes suddenly went dark, and the world was shaking. What happened? Su Xiao is frightened. Black screen?